Hello there, my name's Deborah Garland and I work as part of a research project at Newcastle University learning about the lives of adults on the autism spectrum and their relatives.
Hello, my name is Denise Brett and I'm the coordinator of this project called Learning About the Lives of Adults on the Autism Spectrum and Their Relatives. So today Deborah and myself are going to read through the information sheet for relatives. If you'd like an easy read version of this information, please email our project email address, which is adultautismspectrum, all one word, at ncl.ac.uk, or you can call us at 0191 282 1380. So this research study is called Learning About the Lives of Adults on the Autism Spectrum and Their Relatives. In this research we want to know about your experience as a relative of someone with autism. The aim of this research is to learn new knowledge about people's lives and to lead to changes in services and support for adults on the autism spectrum and their relatives. So we are inviting you to take part in this study, which aims to learn much more about the lives of adults on the autism spectrum and their relatives. This study is for any close relative of an adult aged 16 or over with the diagnosis of autism, atypical autism, autism spectrum disorder or autism spectrum condition, pervasive developmental disorder, high functioning autism or Asperger's syndrome, and people who think that they may have an autism spectrum but they have not had a formal assessment. We will use the term autism spectrum from now on in this information video. So research about autism usually requires large numbers of participants. For this study, we want to recruit as many relatives of adults on the autism spectrum as possible from across the UK to join our research, a cohort of relatives of adults on the autism spectrum. A cohort means a group of people with shared characteristics, in this case, relatives of an adult with an autism spectrum diagnosis. If you agree to take part, as well as contacting me now, we would like to contact you at different times in the future to make sure we have the most up-to-date information about you. We hope that this project will continue for at least 10 years, however you'd be free to opt out at any time you'd like. So this study will increase our knowledge about what life is like for adults on the autism spectrum and their relatives. We will use the results to let people know how adults and their relatives might want to be supported, and we hope that this will lead to people making changes in the services available to adults on the autism spectrum and also their relatives.
So Denise, can you tell me what the aims of the study are?
Yeah, Deborah. The aims of this study are to collect information from relatives of adults on the autism spectrum. This will help researchers, policymakers and those providing services for adults and their relatives to better understand the skills and support needs of adults on the autism spectrum. Another aim of this study is to ask for updates from time to time to understand in more detail how life experiences change for relatives of adults on the autism spectrum. Another aim of this study is to consult with relatives about the priority research questions to be addressed by this research project. So what are the important things that relatives want to learn? We also want to help researchers recruit participants for projects that aim to answer important questions which may lead to significant advances in knowledge, opportunities and care.
So why have I been invited to take part?
For relatives of adults on the autism spectrum, you may have found out about this research in different ways. So you might have found out about this project on our website, which is www.autismspectrum-uk.com. Alternatively, health, education and social care professionals and people from voluntary organisations, they have agreed to let relatives of adults on the autism spectrum know about this research study.
So how might this study help relatives of adults on the autism spectrum?
By taking part, you'll help with research that might lead to improvement in services and support for people from the autism community. The research team includes adults on the autism spectrum, their relatives and professionals. So when we designed this study, we spoke to adults on the autism spectrum and their relatives to make sure that we're collecting the information needed to better understand people's everyday lives.
Will I be asked to participate in any other research projects?
In the future, researchers might want to contact relatives of adults on the autism spectrum about other types of research. Our research steering committee, which includes relatives of adults on the autism spectrum, they will decide which projects to support. This ensures that the studies are of a high quality and they're also useful to relatives of adults on the autism spectrum. So we will contact you with information about these studies, but we will never give your details to any other researchers. Also, you can join this cohort part of the research study without agreeing to being contacted about other research projects.
If I'm interested in this study, what happens next?
Well, there are two ways that you can join this research study. You can join online through our website, which is www.autismspectrum-uk.com. So once you've accessed the website, you can click on How to Join the Study. Once you do this, you'll be asked to give a small amount of information about yourself and your relative's diagnosis. You will then be emailed your unique password. Once you have entered your email address and the password, you'll be able to read information about the study, give your consent, and also fill in the questionnaires online. We know that people take different amounts of time to complete forms, so we have designed the forms that you can complete some information and then finish them at a later time if you wish. This information will help us find out about the experiences of relatives of adults on the autism spectrum, as well as some information about the relative's life experience, so including any sources of support, employment opportunities, types of accommodation, and other aspects of everyday lives. The second way that you could join this study is through post or paper versions of the forms. So if you received an information pack from us, there'll be a consent form and the questionnaire that you must complete. Once you've read this information sheet, please complete the consent form and the questionnaires. So once you've filled them in, you can send them back to us in a return stamped address envelope. If you have any questions about how to join the study or any questions about the research, we'd be happy to discuss the project with you. So we'll give our contact details at the end of this video.
Do I have to take part?
No, it's up to you to decide whether or not you want to join the study. The services that you or your relative may access now or in the future will not be affected in any way by your decision.
What happens if I decide I don't want to take part?
If you don't want to be contacted by us, you can let us know by contacting the address at the end of this information video. So to find out whether relatives who take part in this research study are representative of all relatives of adults on the autism spectrum across the UK, it helps us to have some information about the people who decide that they don't want to take part. So for people who don't want to take part, we would like to keep a small amount of information which either you or a professional or someone who has discussed this research with you could provide. The information will include your year of birth, your gender, ethnicity, postcode, and your relative with an autism spectrum condition, their diagnosis. The reason we ask for your postcode is so that we can know what type of area in the UK you live in. Once we have recorded this information, the last 3 digits of the postcode will be removed by us, so all the information provided is anonymous. If you do not wish to be contacted by us, but you're happy to provide this information, please complete the reverse side of the contact form and return it to us in a stamped address envelope. You don't have to do this, but it helps us a lot, so thank you.
So if I agree to take part, what information will I be asked for?
Well, you'll be asked to complete some questionnaires that give us information about your education, your employment, your relationship status, your health, and your quality of life. You'll also be asked for some information on your relative's diagnosis and some information about their autism spectrum diagnosis, their health, their living arrangements, the level of support that they need, access to support, employment, social relationships, and lifestyle choices. We would like you to complete as much of the questionnaires as possible, but you can leave any questions blank if necessary. You will not have to give your relative's name or their contact details.
Will my information be kept safe and confidential?
Yeah, your information will be kept safe according to the Data Protection Act 1998. So your personal information will be kept separate from the anonymous research data. The research team will store your personal information on a secure database at Newcastle University. The database will only be accessed by research staff working on the study and individuals from the relevant agencies of the Northumberland Tyne and Wear NHS Foundation Trust. This is to check the quality of the research. No identifying information will ever be released to researchers or anyone else, and any information that is published will always be anonymised.
What happens if I want to withdraw from this study?
So if at any stage you wish to withdraw from this research study, we will remove all identifiable information. If that happens, we will retain information on your year of birth, your gender, your diagnosis of your relative, and your postcode.
What will happen if I have returned the information?
So after you've returned the information, we will contact you from time to time to ask you to update the information about your life and that of your relative on the autism spectrum. We may also ask you to complete some other questionnaires. We may also contact you to ask if we can visit you for certain parts of the research. In this case, if you don't want to visit or if you'd like somebody present, you could just say so. You'll be kept informed about the study's progress and any interesting findings through our newsletter and also through our website.
Who is organising the funding of this research, learning about the lives of adults on the autism spectrum and their relatives?
So this study is being run by the Autism Research Team at Newcastle University, working with groups from across the UK. The team includes experienced autism researchers and researchers who are experts in adulthood and ageing, as well as adults on the autism spectrum and their relatives. You can see a full list of the people involved on our website. So this study is funded by the UK charity Autistica. Autistica aim to fund research that leads to improved understanding and better outcomes for people with autism across the lifespan.
So who's reviewed this research study?
So this research has been looked at by an independent committee of people as part of the National Research Ethics Standards Procedures. This process has been designed to protect your interests and ensure all research is of a high standard. This study has been reviewed and given a favourable ethical opinion by the Wales Research Ethics Committee. So thank you for taking the time to watch this information video. So if you have any questions or if you'd like to contact the research team, you can send us any post to this address, which is Adult Autism Spectrum Cohort UK, Institute of Neuroscience, Henry Wellcome Building, Newcastle University, Framlinton Place, Newcastle upon Tyne, and the postcode is NE2 4HH. You could also send us an email. So our email address is adultautismspectrum, all one word, at ncl.ac.uk. Or you could also phone us. So our phone number is 0191 282 1380 or 0191 282 5965. We also have a website where you can get some more information, and if you would like to join, you could also join on this website. So it's www.autismspectrum-uk.com. Thank you.
Thank you.